I'm Maddie.
And I'm Julia.
This is my sister.
And this is my sister.
And this is my couch. Welcome to my sister's couch.
You want some of this? Sure. It'll go straight to the
It looks like there's
dome.
some chunks in there.
What?
Protein.
Yeah.
Oh, it smells bad.
I told you. It's not
Do
fresh.
you want something else?
It's fine. I'll finish it.
Okay. Welcome
Cheers.
back to the podcast.
What are you having for to drink?
For to drink, I'm having a 2 Chicks sparkling cranberry teeny, vodka cranberry, and lime cocktail in a can.
It rolls off the tongue.
And it's okay. What are you having?
I'm having semi-rotten Savi B from New Zealand.
Period. And happy Friday.
Yay.
It's Friday. Just when we're filming this.
Should we address the elephant of the room that we've been...
Yeah, it's not really an elephant. It's more so of like a welcome to season 2, I would say. New year, new pod. Except for very little is changing.
Yeah, do you want to walk them through... It's not going to be that different.
No. But I think so Julia and I met last week and just kind of went over, the first 12 episodes of the podcast, what we liked, what we didn't, what we thought resonated well with people. And if you have any thoughts, definitely tell us because we are more than receptive to feedback. And shout out to Carrie Rice if you're listening to this. Your feedback was greatly appreciated. So we have decided that we're going to take the podcast and do some more distinct segments that we're going to do each episode so that you guys know what to expect when you listen, and it can allow us to better prepare and make sure that we have things of note to say to you guys instead of just rambling about random stuff all the time.
Yeah, I think during our retrospective, we realized that the things that we felt the best about and also the things that seemed to be the most well received were the times that we actually had a little bit of planning and thought that we put into it.
How would we have known?
What do you... Shocking.
There was no way we could have known.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically the way the new setup is going to be is we'll just open up the pod and then we're going to do a segment on reality, which is just going over whatever stupid, lighthearted reality TV show we're watching at the time. As you guys know, when we started, it was Big Brother. Then we did Dancing with the Stars. Right now, we're both binge watching Traitors. And then we obviously have a big season of Survivor coming up. So we'll be touching on all of those during the reality segment. Next, we're going to go into a not that deep soapbox, and the name's a little misleading because it actually might be deep on certain occasions.
I feel like today is going to be kind of deep.
Yeah, today's going to might be deep, but it won't always be. And basically during this segment, we're going to talk about one particular pop culture thing, whether it's going on right now, whether it's being talked about again for the first time in years, and sort of reference and use articles and different actual citations of things that other people are saying about the topic and sort of dive deep into one particular thing. And then lastly, we're going to do a Bex Rex where we're just talking to each other about what all we're consuming, any recommendations, any thoughts, things like that. And then we'll wrap up. So that's what you can expect moving forward. Yay!
And something that I don't think you touched on that's a little bit more logistics related is that we're going to reduce the frequency with which we are recording. So I think when we first started, we were doing every week. And obviously that's ideal, especially when you're talking about a reality TV show that's actively ongoing. However, it's a little bit hard to keep up with when you both have full-time jobs.
Derogatory. We do, unfortunately. Both have jobs.
And as you may have noticed, if you're a person who listens to this podcast, it has been sporadic over the last few months, mostly for that reason. And
the holidays.
And the holidays. And just general travel. And there was the Lost episode as well, so we can't forget about that. But anyway, so I think just sticking to a 2-week cadence will give us the time that we need to, first of all, prepare appropriately, but also, edit and for you to do the socials and stuff like that. So anyway, that's the plan for logistics. And, I don't know, I think we're going to try to do the same day also.
I think we're
Did we decide
thinking
on a
about
day?
Monday, but we'll see maybe when this one goes out, and then maybe we'll just pick that day, and that'll be the day every other week. You can look out for it.
Yeah, I like the idea of Monday.
I like the idea of Monday too, but
we'll see.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's that.
So should we get into Trader? That's what we're starting with, right?
Yes, we're starting with reality and particularly Traitors. And I will say, just as a quick note, I think 5 episodes are out right now, but Julie and I have both only seen the first 2, so we're just going to talk about the first 2 episodes, and sort of just general thoughts honestly, on the season so far.
I think my commentary is more, like, high level anyway. Right. Like, I don't know if I have...
Nothing, like, really has happened, so...
No. So, I guess commentary, like, there's a lot of interesting individuals that are on the season.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the cast just overall?
It's very interesting. I feel like in seasons past, like I don't watch The Housewives. So I don't have a good sense of the dynamics of the various housewives.
Yeah.
I do feel like that's a gap.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a fan of The Housewives, then you should definitely watch Traitors because there's always like
a ton of housewives.
Yeah, at least 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But I will say, you know, friend of the pod, Mark Ballas. That's his last name, right?
Yes.
Is on Mama Kelsey, which is weird.
I am cracking up at everybody being too scared to say anything to Mama Kelsey because they're all scared of the
Swifties. Okay, I have something else to say about her in a minute, but I think some other sort of people that I am a fan of that are on the show is Nat from Survivor.
Yes, love Natalie. Friend of the pod.
Yeah, friend of the pod. Oh my gosh. Not a friend of the pod, but it's sort of interesting. Colton.
I'm going to refrain from making any comments because I don't want to be controversial, but
I said he's not a friend of the pod.
Not a friend of the pod, and I'm actually just, like, really surprised that, like, he's just continuing to get platformed.
Yeah.
In, like, so many ways.
He keeps getting jobs.
And, like...
There's no such thing as being canceled,
criminal,
guys.
Right? He's a criminal. So, yeah, I guess maybe this is part of Colton's rebrand, but, like, it's not hitting. Because, like, the way that Ari and Pilot Pete might have maybe not been fan favorites during their seasons wasn't because they committed a crime.
I feel like Ari had a lot of backlash, actually, at the end.
Oh, he was very controversial.
Yeah.
If you didn't watch it, he picked somebody and then changed his mind and picked the other person.
Like
after he had already proposed to Becca Kufrin.
Yeah.
He took it back and then proposed to, I think, Lauren,
the person
who is still his wife. So, like,
his baby mama.
He made the correct choice, but like, he was not well liked after his season at all, and I really enjoyed watching him on Traitors, and like, it's just not hitting that way with Colton because of the fact that he committed a major crime to me.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to just, like, forget that happened. So if you're unfamiliar with this piece of Bachelor Nation lore, Colton was the Bachelor. He was on The Bachelorette, then he became the Bachelor. And his whole shtick was that he was a virgin. And what you didn't know at the time was he was a virgin with women. And he was really, really struggling with his sexuality, and he's from the South, very religious. He, like, played football in college and
a professional, I believe, as well.
Oh yes, yeah,
for a couple years,
like for the Colts or something. Mm-hmm. And he was really struggling, like, with his sexuality, and he went through the whole Bachelor process. He ended up with a woman. He proposed to her, and the relationship then proceeded to not work out, and he then basically continued to harass her, and to the point that he was, like, putting trackers in her car. She had to get a restraining order out on him. It was not a good situation at all. And like I said, there was legal action involved. But as it all was happening, he came out and basically said, like, the reason why of everything was because he was struggling with his sexuality and all this stuff. And he is now married to a man, and
they have a baby or babies.
They have children, and
seems to be doing well.
It's good that he's happy and everything like that. But it was an interesting situation.
Yeah, it's great that he's living his truth, and whatever.
Very happy for him.
At peace. But yeah, it's hard to, like, I don't think that necessarily excuses, like, violence against women.
Right. And just the fact that he was struggling with his sexuality, which is very, very sad, doesn't necessarily give him an excuse to stalk his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
So,
We'll leave it at that.
anyways, he's on Traitors. So, that was an interesting choice, I thought, as well.
Yeah, very interesting. Anyway. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other interesting people that are on the show.
I mean, Tiffany is really a Big Brother legend. If you're into, like, those types of shows,
Ian
as well. Natalie is such a beast. I love her. But anyways, any other thoughts on the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, I have multiple thoughts. I am this is what I wrote. Personally gagged how no one knows Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski. Does no one watch the Olympics? Also, weren't one or both of them on Dancing with the Stars?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know.
But everyone's like, oh, do you know her? And he's like, yeah.
Also, like, if you didn't watch them when they were in the Olympics, like, okay, a lot of time has passed since then. But they are very involved in the broadcast of the
That's
Olympics.
what I mean.
Like, they are the main commentators for, like, figure skating.
Yes.
So I was so surprised that they were like, oh, we're really going to downplay our relationship, because I'm like, everybody knows that you guys are best friends. They, like, were on Project Runway as, like, special guests, the two of them.
I forgot about that.
We watched the Olympics, like, when it was on. We would sit and we would watch whatever was on at any given time. I guess not everybody does that.
I literally had the thought, are these two not the most iconic duo in sports broadcasting?
They are.
I just am so confused. How do people not know who they are?
No, I don't know either. I don't know. That more people knew the guy who was on Love Island one time than knew Johnny Weir.
Seriously.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe this is just, like,
Maybe
the
we're
exact
aging ourselves.
Venn diagram of, like, all the things that we consume. Anyway,
Anyways.
that was, like, one where I was really shook by. Oh, my other sort of observation about a person who was casted is Maura. More of just a recommendation. If you've never seen British Love Island and you're not sure where to start, I would highly recommend watching her season. I believe it's season 7, but let me confirm. Okay, never mind. It's season 5. I just confirmed. It's also the season of Molly May and Tommy Fury, which
Very relevant in pop culture.
literally, like, Molly May is one of the biggest UK influencers and probably, like, the most famous person to ever come out of Love Island, I would say. But anyway, it's very entertaining. Maura is so funny, and she's got a crazy accent. And, yeah, it's just a really good season, so I would recommend that. She looks very different now. The Mar-a-Lago face is going crazy.
I
She
didn't
did not
watch her
look
season, so I don't know what she looked like before, but
I mean, they don't look like different people, but, like,
yeah.
they look different.
Yeah. Sure.
And then my last comment is, I just really want to know what they tell the contestants the dress code is. And a lot of these, actually, I have 2 more comments that I want to say, but that's one of the things. I'm sure, like, a lot of these people are, like, rich enough and famous enough that they just have, like, a stylist and they curate sort of, like, whatever to a rented wardrobe specifically to wear on the show. But the outfits are so crazy and so niche.
Yeah. They give, like, it's like if the Hunger Games capital had a baby with, like, appropriating Scottish traditional culture.
My guess was, like, if the Bridgerton costume designers designed a Scottish prep school uniform.
Sure. Lots of tweed.
It's, like, so almost offensive.
Yeah. But I like it.
I like it too, but I'm like, where are these people sourcing so many bedazzled kilts?
Tweed jacket.
And,
I
like,
don't know.
a beret with pearls on it.
Yeah, a lot of pearls.
Anyway, my last thought about Traitors is more of a question for you.
Oh.
Because this is now the 4th season, right? I still don't see the point in the competitions.
It's just to get more money for the pod.
Yeah, but they're all famous. They don't need what's $3,000 to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like to add more money to the pot, but then there's also the shields, so that it adds like an element of gameplay when there's like an immunity on the line.
I think I think they've gotten better with time, because at the beginning it was really stupid.
Yeah.
I think the problem is when you have people who are already famous competing in these things that, like,
It made
who
more
cares?
sense when they had normies involved.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that, but like you're right. It is. I mean, these people are like pretty famous.
Especially like the housewives, like,
Yeah. They were famous from being rich already.
yeah.
And they've just increased. I mean, again, not to bring back the Donna Kelsey of it all, but like we're talking one of the wealthiest people on earth is her media family member. So it's like the money is not necessarily the factor. I think it's just like, also, what else would it be? Just them sitting in the house, like doing nothing.
I agree.
I think it's just to fill time.
There
honestly.
has to, no, I agree. There has to be something. There has to be some, but I'm saying, like, I feel like they should be adjusting them for the stakes to be more, like, real. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's, like, a piece of information. Maybe it's someone who's not a traitor, and then, or, like, an immunity. Like, I don't know, like, Survivor.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they kind of do with, like, the shields and stuff. But I think, like, for example, the reverse of Traitors is the show The Mole on Netflix.
Yes.
That makes sense when they have the competition. So the premise of The Mole is the same as Traitors, except there's one mole the whole time. And not only does nobody knows who it is, you also don't know who it is. And the goal is for the mole to try to basically prevent them from getting more money. You have to wait till the end, but like, so they're sort of sabotaging the competitions, and that's what's interesting about it. And they're increasing the pot of money, but like,
But there's also an interesting gameplay that you can do in the mole, is like, even if you're not the mole, there is an argument of like you sabotaging it subtly to like confuse other people.
confuse people, yeah. And that's the problem with the Traitors, is that everybody benefits from there being more money in the pot. So there's not really like
There's no
competition
stakes.
besides the like immunity piece, which like again the stakes aren't actually that high because it saves you from getting murdered, but it doesn't save you from being banished. So it's like I agree. I think that they could do workshop that a little bit, but
It's just a little silly.
one thing that I really liked about this season is how they had the secret traitor, and in season 3 or episode 3 they do expose who the person is, but
Haven't gotten there yet.
yeah, I'm only halfway through episode 3, but I think that's cool because the dramatic irony of it, like there is dramatic irony in knowing who the traitor is, but there is anxiety in not, and I think it raises the stakes a lot. And if you've seen The Mole, the whole time
You're stressed.
because you're stressed because you don't know who it is either, and the producers really have the control of editing the show in a certain way. And so by the last episode, you're also on the edge of your damn seat about who this freaking mole is, because it's been the same one person the whole time. And yeah, I think that was like a cool little twist to like add that in there so that like we're all a little confused. There's all an element of uncertainty. It makes the stakes feel higher. And that being said, it is also enjoyable to watch the dramatic irony of it all when you're watching two people have a conversation. Like, for example, when they did the challenge where you had to put the coffin in somebody's grave, and Rob got one in his thing, so he had to like pretend that he was upset and that he was stressed about it and stuff like that, and like that was entertaining to watch, and he did a really good job of he's actually doing quite well on the show
For a Love Island guy.
For a
He's
Love
doing pretty
Island
good.
guy, and he's like, this is the most fun I've ever had in my life, and I'm like, this was unexpected. But yeah, like that dramatic irony is also enjoyable. So I liked that they did a combination of both to sort of up the anxiety a little bit.
Yeah.
That was one of my thoughts I had.
I just feel like they're working out the kinks. It's a good show. It's very entertaining, and I guess the pros of having a cast of people who are already famous is like we're invested in it, knowing, not even watching it because we are fans of these people already. But I will say, which takes us to our next point, they are doing a all civilian season. And I think that will be interesting because there actually is like financial stakes
I think my last takeaway is I'm just looking forward to the rest of the season. I love Traitors. I love the camp of it all. I love that it doesn't pretend to not be silly. Like
Yeah, it's
there's
very
an
silly.
element of like
I think the outfits
yeah,
are.
yeah, you're breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
It's costuming. It's like I love just a show that's pretty to look at. It's just so aesthetically
Yeah, it is.
pleasing. I'm going to Ireland later this year, and like it just is making me excited for my vacation.
I like the red-haired guy who's like the henchman.
Yeah, I love how there's a dog now.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right.
Topic change.
All right, let's get into Not That Deep Soapbox, and I'll hand it over to Jewel because she's
Oh
going
my
to
God.
lead the conversation this week.
So today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite topic, Heated Rivalry. You've not seen it, right?
No, but I am quite familiar.
Yeah.
Due to being chronically online.
Yeah.
And
so-
a member of the book talk community as well.
Yeah, so it's a TV show adaptation of a book series. I believe the series is actually book 2, and there's sort of like a B plot within the series that's book 1. It was like originally Canadian, and now it's like whatever on Prime or HBO or whatever purchased it. And it's been taking the nation by storm.
It has been sweeping the nation.
Yeah.
To be sure.
I think
Do you want to give a quick summary of the story, just in case
Sure.
anybody hasn't?
if you don't have the TikTok app or Instagram app and you don't watch TV, you might not know. Heated Rivalry is a show about 2 young men who are professional hockey players, and they kind of like come up together. So they have their rookie season together, they get recruited together, and they're essentially like each other's biggest sports rivalry. They're on like rival teams. And basically they meet each other before their rookie season, and they have initially a physical relationship that then becomes romantic. And the show is really about their romance, but also just them coming to terms with their own identity. I think Shane hasn't really like quite, decided that he's gay at the beginning of the show. And there's like a really funny scene actually where they've been hooking up for years, and Shane says, "I think I might be gay." And Ilya says, "Oh no, what makes you think that?" But yeah, and Ilya has like a very complicated family relationship, and also per the show, it's not like super safe to be gay in Russia, so there's like that sort of underlying element as well, like with his family.
Not to mention the fact that they're professional athletes as well.
And that's sort of the main thing, is that like hockey is a very like hyper masculine sport, and there's never been, up until recently, there's never been any sort of out hockey players. So it's sort of like a non-traditional sports romance, I guess. But yeah, so I would say it was a very popular book series, and now that it's a show, people, especially young women, have been really loving it. And I think it's been really interesting to kind of like take a deep dive into why it's like become such a cult, like has such a cult following with like all these really passionate fans. And I have some thoughts on it. But yeah, I'll stop there. Do you have any questions?
No
On my
questions.
synopsis?
Excellent synopsis. And yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, as a book talk community member, I knew about Heated Rivalry because it was very popular online as a book.
Yeah.
And then when they made the show, obviously it's blown up since then. But continue.
Yeah. So I have a couple thoughts. And then we also, did you read the article? Mm-hmm. We also read an article from Out Magazine, and it's kind of around like the psychology of why women are so interested in this romance. So I think first of all, there's kind of the obvious, which is that it's a very erotic show, especially the first few episodes are very sex heavy, and obviously they're both hot. So there's that part of it that I think is obvious. I do think there's been a lot of people saying that there's some like fetishization that's happening, which is probably true in some instances. But I think the other two things that I think are really interesting are that, number one, they are engaged in a relationship that is devoid of power dynamic, which is really, really refreshing and like doesn't really exist in like heterosexual romance relationships. I guess my second point is really kind of tied into the first one, which is just that the like communication between them is something that is also like not seen before, and there's like a consent dialogue that's like always happening. And I also think they kind of take turns kind of being the pursuer, which is something that we don't see often. Oh, and I actually just thought of a third point, which is around like the yearning piece. I think that this this romance is a great example of like yearning men, which doesn't really exist in real life. When I think about when I think about books that I loved where like there's a lot of yearning, it's like, you know, Twilight or whatever, which is fake and toxic.
Also, Edward breaks up with her like multiple times.
Yeah, like things that are not healthy relationships. And so to have two men who are, you know, both yearning and struggling and, you know, thinking about one another in this way is not common.
Yeah.
I do want to talk mostly about the first thing, which is around the power dynamic. So we did read an article kind of about this topic. And I want to read one quote, and then I'd like to hear kind of your thoughts on the article or kind of the quote that I'm going to read. So this is from a psychiatrist or a psychologist, like a relationship psychologist, on why this particular relationship between Shane and Ilya is a relationship of equals, and that it is like kind of revolutionary in media. So here's the quote. What unfolds instead is desire rooted in equality. Shane and Ilya meet each other as peers in every sense that usually destabilizes relationships. They have equal status, equal ambition, and equal capacity to walk away. Neither needs the other in order to function, and that is precisely what gives their encounters their charge. The show understands something that contemporary audiences are acutely sensitive to in the post-Me Too era. Desire is most compelling when it is mutual, chosen, and uncoerced. And I just think that's so interesting given our recent conversations around fantasy books and how they not only have like gigantic age, hundreds of year age power imbalances, but there's also usually like a financial thing, and one of them is like a king. And it's just so revolutionary to have two people who are like meeting each other on an equal playing field and still like pining and yearning for one another. I actually listened to a podcast on this topic as well, which I will link somewhere in our YouTube maybe. The name of the podcast is Diabolical Lies, and they actually kind of juxtapose this series with a book written by like kind of a manosphere guy on like the male loneliness epidemic. But they were talking about how women have kind of been fed this narrative our whole lives that in order for something to be sexy, there has to be a little bit of danger to it. There has to be something unknown. There has to be sort of an element that like we can't predict what's going to happen. And I think that this is like sort of a new era of like, actually, no, these two people are being communicative and like there is no danger. There's no like, you know, situation in which one of these people has the upper hand. And it's still like sexy and it's still like intriguing. I feel like that's maybe one of the things that, you know, over intellectualizing this smutty romance, I do think that's something that is so refreshing beyond like the horniness of it.
Yeah.
That, you know, women are into.
Yeah. 100%.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think like almost all heterosexual romances, the romance is the dynamic. That's the draw. Like, that's what it is. It's, even when you look at book talk and you look at these tropes, it's like friends to enemies to lovers to like the 500-year-old Fey king with like a peasant who's
Rich
illiterate.
guy and poor
Rich
girl.
guy and poor girl, or vice versa. Oh, it's a princess and like the poor villain, the
Yeah.
princess bride of it all. That's like most heterosexual. I mean, Twilight's a good example. There's all sorts of examples. So
50 Shades.
50 Shades. Well, yeah, it made me think, what are examples of heterosexual love stories in media that have an equal sort of dynamic in that same way, where there's no like power dynamic in any way? And it's really hard to try to think of one. And I came up with two, and I'm curious what you think about them.
Okay.
One is these are just two of my all-time favorite pieces of media ever of all time. My all-time favorite romance movie, rom-com, not romance movie, but rom-com, is 13 Going on 30. And I think that the reason why I like it, number one, I love when they're friends first. I think that automatically sort of evens the playing field.
Yeah.
They're the same age. They grew up in the same place. They're literally neighbors. He's not an awful person, because when they're adults and she tries to get him to leave his fiance, he's like, hell no. And she's like, okay. They sort of take turns pining after each other.
Yeah.
And they're really just best friends that grow up, that are like the same things. I was like, that's one example I can think of. And then the other example is sort of like, they're equally, I think there's a couple examples where both people are like equally kind of bad, that they like deserve each other in a way. And not that these characters are bad, but I do a little bit think about Nick and Jess from New Girl, because they're both so broke. They both like, they're kind of a mess on and off throughout the entire show. Again, it's rooted in friendship. I think that's sort of like the main catalyst for like any type of like equivalent heterosexual relationship, is like, it has to be rooted in some flavor of friendship to begin with. And yeah, I mean, there's no financial element.
One person's not way hotter than the other.
No, they like genuinely enjoy spending time with one another. There's, like I said, times where they're both sort of pining after each other in different ways. And yeah, those were the only two examples, though, I could really think of. Because then I was even like, okay, another iconic couple. Let's think Jim and Pam from The Office. But then I'm like, not even, because Jim is like the Mr. Salesman, and he's the best guy, the coolest guy in the office, and Pam is the receptionist. And then even when she gets a job in sales, she's not good at it, and like, she's sort of struggling her way through various careers. She ends up staying home, then Jim goes off and does his job. Like, even that, which is one of the most like beloved couples in media, like, I do think still has that element. And then the other thing, I think, to your point about the danger piece, is like, I think especially in today's climate, and especially in the manosphere, janky ass, wanky ass internet that we live in, where you have men getting on podcasts being like, we're doing women a favor by not killing them. Like, I've heard multiple men on podcasts be like, they owe us one because we could easily kill them.
Yeah,
like,
and they have to live with that.
And they have to live with knowing that we could literally kill them at any moment. Like, I've seen at least 3 men on podcasts say that in the past couple of weeks. And like, so yeah, it's not shocking to me that a relationship dynamic that isn't built on threat and coercion and some element of dependency is very appealing to women. When you scroll one more time and it's men saying that they could kill you with their bare hands and we should be thanking them for not doing so.
I think obviously there's like the like financial and age and like social status piece of it. I think the other thing is really like the pursuing of one another. That is also equal. Shane and Ilya, they like take turns pursuing one another. They take turns kind of needing a moment to like retreat, and then, coming back to one another. They take turns like being vulnerable. And I think also as women, we are told if he wanted to, he would. If he doesn't text you back, if he's not aggressively pursuing you, then he doesn't care about you. And maybe that's true, but like, at least in this romance, this idealized world, there is like a give and take and a push and a pull, and like two people equally engaging in romantic pursuit.
Because, by the way, that's also how real relationships are.
Yeah.
You're not always the one showing up. Sometimes some person's going to give 80 and you're going to give 20 and vice versa. That's just the way it is. So, like, yeah, I mean, I think the
But
portrayal
that's not
of that,
like always in.
No, it never is.
Yeah.
It never is. Usually it's both people giving 100%. It's usually one person giving it all and one person giving nothing. And then it's just like some miraculous 50%, like,
random
utopian world that doesn't exist in real life.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is sort of just like the societal impact of the show.
Yes.
And I'll say one piece of it, which is that, like, I feel like in many movies and TV shows, obviously representing gay couples has been in movies and TV shows for, you know, a while, but it's very rare to see just like a romance show and like the plot of it is just a romance about a gay couple.
Yeah.
Whenever you see gay couples represented in media, I feel like usually it's like a quirky friend. It's like the quirky friend, and like then the love interest also has like a quirky cousin, and then at the end in the last scene they set them up and they like hit it off at the like wedding at the end of the movie or whatever. It's not really ever the main story.
Totally.
And if it is, then it's sort of something that's like the story is about them being gay, or it's about a heterosexual couple,
Or it's like sad AF.
It's
like,
sad. Brokeback Mountain,
like about AIDS,
Call Me by Your
like
Name,
Rent.
And it's like sad and depressing. It's like nice to just see, and I can imagine, like, I can't speak, but I could imagine that it would be nice to see just like a cute love story,
normal, like
where at the
CW
end,
show.
Yeah, one of them doesn't leave the other one for the wife, and the other one takes their own life. Like, that's how, like, 9 out of 10 of them end, and it's like, that sucks. I think it's important. And then
I definitely wept, like, for sure. And I think the B plot that I was alluding to earlier of Scott and Kip, when that episode where Scott and Kip, like, kind of come out at, like, this, what's supposed to be the Stanley Cup championship, I cried at that. I also just think it's not common to see, like, two gay men depicted as, like, buff jocks.
Yeah. Super, like, athletic.
Playing, like, one of, like, the most, like, heteronormative, like, traditionally cis, straight guy sport. I just think it's amazing that it's, like, a silly show, kind of Trojan horsing this, like, opportunity to have these very serious conversations about masculinity on a societal level, and giving people the opportunity to be themselves. And so we've already seen, like, one professional hockey player come out as a result of this show. Mm-hmm. And
the actors who play Shane and Ilya too have gone on interviews saying that, like, professional athletes who are still in the closet have reached out to them saying that, like, the show really inspired them, made them feel seen, and, like, it's very important. And, like, that's why representation,
especially this day and age.
Yeah. And, like, I think it's so funny too, like, when you see these awful, like, men in comment sections saying stuff. I'll tell a brief anecdote. This has nothing to do with Heated Rivalry, but it happened to me last night and I'm still heated about it. I went to a Sixers game last night, and it's actually a bit of a trend right now on the internet talking about Kelly Oubre, who is a Sixers player. He's a very good basketball player. He's also very handsome, and he has these, like, bright eyes, and he has just, like, a very trendy look about him. He has, like, tattoos. He, like, paints his nails sometimes. He's just sort of like a fashion guy.
Yeah.
And he also has, like, a super hot, like, partner. They have cute-ass kids. Also, he's a professional basketball player. And yesterday at the game, he was taking a free throw at one point, and some guy, a couple rows behind me, screams, calling him a fruitcake because he, you know, is, like, a fashion guy and stuff like that.
Did he get booed out?
Literally, I was in awe, first of all, because, like, the trend that's going on with Kelly Oubre on the internet right now is that guys are discovering that their girlfriends only know one NBA player, and it's Kelly Oubre because he's like handsome. That's the trend. So like he's relevant right now because of the fact that he is so attractive. I doubt that you are becoming famous on the internet for being attractive, random catcaller. But also, this is what pisses me off. Say it to his face. Go down there. Go down there on the court. Stand in that crowd of 7 feet tall, the best athletes on earth. Stand next to Joel Embiid and tell Kelly Oubre that he's a fruitcake. Because you wouldn't, because you're a coward. And that's what gets me when you see like comment sections and like I think the heated rivalry thing, like this issue of masculinity and how small men feel brave online and when they're in the nosebleed section of a Sixers game, it's hurting men. This masculinity thing that we're going through, this male loneliness epidemic, men are the only one that are hurting from this. You're hurting your own type.
And yeah, I think it's just important. And obviously it's a silly show and it's a fun show, but I'm happy it exists.
Yeah.
And that's it.
All right. Moving on. So our last section is usually going to be a Beck's Rec, where we're talking about something that we've consumed, something that we're recommending to each other or to you. But this week we're going to do it a little bit differently, and we're going to instead, since it's the beginning of the year, talk about pop culture things we're looking forward to in the coming year. We're kind of just going to go back and forth a couple times. So do you want to start, Joel?
Yes. I am excited for Harry Styles' Kiss All the Time Disco.
Did you listen to the single?
I did.
Very good.
It played at my spin class this morning.
Oh, your teacher was on top of it.
Yeah, she was on top of it. Yeah, hot off the press.
Hot off the press. By the way, it came out yesterday at midnight. So.
Yeah, so this was at 7 a.m. So she was efficient.
We love that.
But yeah, I am excited for that. I love Harry's House is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
We finna be in the pit.
Finna be in the pit. One thing I'm excited for, we sort of touched on earlier, is I'm very excited for Survivor 50. The cast is immaculate. I think there's a lot of different elements that they're incorporating into this season. If you're interested, go on the Instagram because they're like sort of shouting out all the different twists and challenges and stuff that they're doing. And I just think it's going to be epic.
Yeah, it's going to be so epic.
It's going to be so epic. Okay, Joel?
So unfortunately, I am really excited for the new Wuthering Heights.
Me too.
So obviously I, on this podcast, went on record saying I was confused by the overall vibe, which still am confused. And I will say, I think the director has said that it's not a direct book adaptation. It's sort of an adaptation of how she felt when she read Wuthering Heights as a teenager, which, brother, it is like, as I mentioned, like the most toxic, like teen ass romance, and that's what it's going to be about, which is fine, but I'm like, that you're really missing the point of what the book is.
But the thing is, like, people are asking for camp and she's giving camp, so I don't want to hear any complaining.
No, and I mean, like, visually it looks stunning, doesn't it? And, like, the costumes are incredible. They're sort of, like, it's not of one historic era. Like, it's sort of, like, fantasy. Like, in the trailer, Margot Robbie's eating, like, a gigantic strawberry.
It's camp.
It's camp, and, yeah, I'm excited.
That's fair. Along the sort of nerd hyperfixation movie vein, I'm very excited for the Odyssey movie. The cast looks so good. The fact that it's Christopher Nolan, like, it's a real movie.
It's gonna be a real movie.
It's gonna be a real movie. I think the budget is like $1 zillion.
1 billion.
1 kajillion USD.
Billions and millions.
Yeah, and like, for all of the mythology girlies out there, this is gonna be huge.
Yeah. It's gonna be major.
It's gonna be freaking epic. Everything's gonna be so epic.
It's gonna be the most epic year.
I'm just working epic back into my dialogue. I started it 5 minutes ago, and now I'm gonna do it for the rest of my life.
The last thing that I'm excited about in the next, like, Q1, I would say, is the next season of Bridgerton.
Everybody who's a Benedict girl, sound off in the comments. Me. You're an Anthony girl, so be quiet.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Shush. I am a Benedict girl, and I'm so excited for this. I feel bad because, like, I actually DNF'd the last season. I wasn't
I
interested.
didn't really mess with it.
I
either.
didn't love it.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. For me,
You know, she had a full acrylic set on.
I know. For me, it goes like Anthony season 2 is like up here.
Peak.
I didn't watch Queen Charlotte,
Oh,
but
I liked
people
it.
really like that
Yeah.
one, so maybe that's up here too.
I like
Then
that actor
season
a lot.
1, I hated the actor who played the guy. Jean Benoit. Whatever.
Pierre.
But Pierre Benoit. Daphne's like bae.
Yeah.
Hated him. So that's here. And I mean, like, it was fine. I just like DNF'd it. I don't like Colin.
I feel like at the end of season 2, you're like, how are they going to make him not seem
Yeah.
like the worst guy
And
ever?
they didn't.
And they didn't.
They just were like, oh, he changed his mind. Like,
At random.
yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, I know people give Bridgerton a pass for, like, not being historically accurate. They've gone too far.
I don't mind the costumes. I hate the fucking
The
Kim
glam.
K glam.
Yeah.
Because, like, if they're doing camp, why aren't they doing, like, a bleached eyebrow, a rosy, a
Maddie,
pale, rosy cheek?
Like a hot pink eyeshadow.
Right. Why are they doing legitimately 2016 Kylie lip kit makeup? That's what bothers me. Because I love camp. I don't think we need to be historically accurate. If you're going to be camp, though, why are we just adding rhinestones to a period-accurate dress and putting on a strip lash?
Yeah, I agree.
That's just lazy. Do you know the Marie Antoinette movie?
Yes, with Kirsten Dunst.
Yes, the Marie Antoinette with Kirsten Dunst, because that is an example of, like, how they used a non-period accurate vibe, like glam, to portray sort of, like, the ethereal, like, glamour and glitz and, like, otherworldliness of, like, Life at Versailles. They could have done something like that.
Yeah.
But no, they said cut crease. They said Kylie lip kit.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
That being said, Benedict is he's my favorite.
Yeah.
So.
I'm also excited. I'm only saying this because you just said it, but I'm also really excited for the next Hunger Games movie. I think that comes out this year.
Yeah, and something to look forward to, like, on the pod, something that I'm going to do this year is I've decided I'm rereading all of the Hunger Games books. I actually have not read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I have not read the Haymitch one. And I'm going to read them in order. Maybe it needs a
Revisit.
special episode.
Yeah.
Because
For the Patreon.
For the Patreon. Because, like, I read the books when they came out.
Yeah.
In, like, middle school. And I have not read them since. So I think the time has come for a reread and to read the 2 prequels. Yeah. Very excited. Well, thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, leave a comment with something you're excited for
Yes.
for 2026, for, like, Q1, what you're looking forward to from a pop culture standpoint. And, yeah, thank you for listening to the end. And
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Go
It's
Birds.
almost February.
And see you next time.
Drive safe.
Drive safe.
Get home safe now.